This is your City Council Roundup, a recap of what's happening at City Hall with John Ongaro. The views expressed in this program are solely of those of the host and not necessarily those of the radio station or its partners.
Well, away we go. Another City Council meeting in the books from last night, and I'm happy to report that everybody was in attendance, finally. Last night, one of the best parts of the night was the Smart Growth Action Plan that was presented as a 10-year roadmap designed for sustainable growth in Thunder Bay, addressing the local economy, population, investment attractions, and more. The vision is for Thunder Bay to become a flourishing city where people confidently choose us to live, work, and invest and support a robust economy. It was an interesting discussion. The package, by the way, is fantastic. It is exceptionally well laid out. It's very nice to look at. There's a lot of great graphics inside, but there's over 100 action items in this document. It is available to you. We're going to put a link in our video once we post it on yourthunderbay.ca where you can download it and have a look at it. There's a lot of gems in there too, Danny, and I gave you a bit of a heads up on this because I got a sneak peek at the report last week. Couple little gems inside, including plans for a new arena. What?
Wow.
That's in there. And how about a new road joining the overpass at Central Avenue to Marina Park? What? Think about it.
Huh?
Yep, it's in there too. There's all kinds of interesting action items on how we're going to get to be more sustainable and to find a property tax base increase of at least 3% annually and a population increase of 1% annually. The document is exceptionally well put together. It gives a great boost to the work on the growth team that they're doing a colossal amount of work to make changes in our city, and it really shows in this document. Congratulations to administration and all involved. It is worth checking out. We'll post a link on yourthunderbay.ca.
I'm looking forward to going through that. You know what? Just like I read through the Ontario Sunshine List, I'm going to sit with a cup of coffee, a beverage, a snack, and go through that. Yeah. I'm looking forward to that. Investment attractions, John.
Yep.
That's what caught my attention.
It's really interesting. It's very, very well done.
Cool.
Also, last night, a quick item. The Auditorium put in a request to remove the parking lot from their lease. That's a good thing because that parking lot has been a disaster for 20 years. It's now shared, of course, with a big steel building that'll have a piece of fake grass in it. So now that parking lot is now the city's responsibility. That was approved last night. It's no longer the Auditorium's responsibility for that upkeep, and it definitely needs some help. All right, last night, the notice of motion came through again. Just a recap. It was brought forward back on October the 7th. The motion seeks to delete item number 4, the temporary village project from the 10-part human rights-based community action plan that was ratified by City Council on October 28th, 2024. The temporary village was intended to create up to 80 indoor sheltering options with essential services and access to all of those services in one place. Councillor Agarwal put this motion forward and states that the purpose of removing the item is to allow City Council a chance to regroup and focus their efforts on seeking additional funding. Didn't we do that a bunch of times? So now that the notice of motion is back in front of Council, here we go. Councillor Folds, who is the speaker at these council meetings, who I might add does an exceptional job of keeping the meeting in line and in focus. At the same time, did a great job of wearing a Blue Jays shirt last night. Just wanted to make sure we pointed that out. He stated by saying that this issue has been in front of council a number of times. You don't say. He also set it up by saying that it's a challenging discussion and continues to be challenging for the public and asked councillors to be respectful of one another. Why he felt the need to set that table, I'm not sure, but you could probably venture a guess that there's been some interesting emails and discussions leading up to last night. The notice was brought to the floor in order for it to proceed if required. It needed a seconder. And of course, there was a seconder to go along with Councillor Agarwal's notice of motion. Who was it? You guessed it, Councillor Gertuga. So first up, Councillor Agarwal introduces her notice of motion and tried to explain that she's trying to help and that the council is also trying to help. Well, we know that's not technically the case because if we wanted to help, we would have done something by now, but this council has been dragging their feet for a year. The other irony in this is that Councillor Agarwal was all for being one with nature. When she said yes to the new Hilliard location, she went on at length that night about let's put them by the trees. And a month later, now hates the idea of a temporary village which she referred to as sheds.
Can I interrupt you for a
Please.
second? I heard that several times last night, and I was very confused and I think a little shocked at the choice of words there.
Yeah.
Sheds.
Sheds. We kept referring to it as sheds. Over and over again. It was about dignity and being one with nature a month ago, and now we're putting people in sheds. Councillor Hamilton later pointed out that using the word shed is a mischaracterization of what the shelter will mean to people who are currently living in cardboard boxes and tents, and that we shouldn't refer to them as sheds just for the simple dignity of it all. Councillor Pascalino spoke next, pointing out that we've spent several hours on the topic, and he is just now realizing that even though the temporary village will be built, and that would lead to designated encampment sites, he just realized last night that there will still be people in tents. Of course there will. There will absolutely be people in tents because there's just not enough space. But this should do something good. Just found it odd that he only realized that we would not be taking everybody out of tents just last night. Once again, City Manager John Cullen had to explain it again to all of the councillors that the law is clear. If you want people to move to designated spaces, you have to provide accessible indoor space first. Period. End of story. It is the law. It was never the intent to house everyone, but it's something for many that need it. Now, after about 2 hours of debate, there was a lot of back and forth, the same stories that we've heard a million times. But I want to give a hats off today to Councillor Shelby Chung, who I think did the great, well, I guess it's a great service to the public and probably to her colleagues too, where she thought it was important to break down how we got here. We've been talking about this for a year. And Councillor Chung did a great job of breaking it down. Have a listen.
We've had 10 robust debates on this single issue. We asked administration with finding ways to be able to control the unmanaged encampments. The first, we debated human rights approach based off the Waterloo decision. We saw what happened with Waterloo when they unlawfully cleared out an encampment on city property. The second debate we debated the 10-part plan. Then we debated the approval of the temporary village subject to site selection. The fourth time we debated, we chose Miles Street. Then we debated LRCA and Simpson. And then we did a reverse Uno. We went back to Cam River Park, then rescinded Cam River Park. Number 8, we went back to Miles, switched to Hilliard. Number 9, notice a motion to rescind Hilliard, which failed. And now 10, this motion to go back all the way to the beginning, 18 months ago, and scrap the whole thing. And we still don't have a plan for the temporary encampments. We don't have anything to show for it if this passes.
Isn't that interesting?
Wow.
Isn't that a fascinating way to completely disassemble this council? She hit the nail right on the head. You've done this 10 times and brought it up again. And we still had to listen to it for another 2 hours last night. It was an exceptional breakdown of where we've been and where we're going. Hats off to Councillor Chung for that.
It's almost like we're back to square one still. Like not like what?
Well, this is the problem. This is the problem. And I've been reading online for days about how this is a flip-flop council. And yep, you could probably go back. And if I had the energy or even the motivation to go back through every vote over the last couple of months, sure, we could probably point out who's flip-flopped and who hasn't. That's fine. It doesn't matter. The point is this, and this is what it really comes down to. And this is the part that I think, in my opinion, is the part that we have to drive home. This council can't work together. They don't like each other. They don't work together. They don't like administration when administration tells them they're doing something wrong. They don't like the direction that each other is going in any single decision. But on this one, finally last night, there was a glimmer of hope. And it only took a year. Last night, the vote to remove the temporary village with a notice of motion put forward by Councillor Agarwal and seconded by Councillor Gertuga failed. And it failed badly, 11-2. Guess who the two were who were in favor of removing the temporary village, thereby not helping those in need? You guessed it. But here we are again. So now what happens? The answer needs to be nothing. A temporary village needs now to be built. We've talked about it for too long. We've said that we were going to do something for too long. This council could not get it together in, as Councillor Chung gratefully pointed out, 10 times of trying to figure out how to get this moving. And here we are at the end of October and we're still not. But now we finally can put that past us. Do I agree with the location? Absolutely not. Do I agree with the concept? Absolutely. Because as many councillors pointed out last night, this is no time to change our mind again. We need to do something. And finally, this council did something last night and turned down that notice of motion.
Could there be another notice of
There
motion
better not
coming
be.
again? Do you know what I mean? Like, is there an end to this?
Well, this is the thing. If this comes back again, then there needs to be some kind of discussion about leadership, because I'm concerned that there isn't any right now on this issue. I'm concerned that there is no leadership on any issues because they can't get along. And so if this comes back again, that is a sign that we are definitely in trouble.
I just want to throw out a number with you. It was apparently last night. DSAB has notified the city that there's almost 1,200 individuals that experience homelessness, and they have something called a name list.
That's right. People that are known to be homeless,
right?
that are looking or that are actively seeking a place to go.
So you think of that number.
It's an enormous amount.
1,200 in our city.
And think that it took us a year to do something.
Yeah.
So that was last night's meeting, but it's important to point out today that we are in the middle of local government week. City Manager John Cullen mentioned it last night and did a great job of showcasing the fact that we have thousands of city employees that do exceptional work, all part of local government week and the corporation of the city of Thunder Bay. Of course, that is made up by 13 members of council that we should too celebrate, because yes, they did put their necks out and put their hands up to be voted in and make decisions. But it is important to recognize that local government week for all municipalities is important. I also want to point out that speaking of local government, it is 1 year and 4 days until the next election.
Okay.
With that, finally, if you really want to say your piece and you want to learn a little bit more about what's going on with the city, the Thunder Bay Talks event happens tonight. It's a great casual evening of conversation and connection. You can meet with city staff, learn more about where the city spends money, the plan of growth into the future. Heck, ask them about the smart growth plan. It's fantastic. Every area of the city corporation is represented, and you can come with questions to just talk and listen to people. There are no presentations. There are no slides. There's no fanfare. It's just a bunch of really smart people who know a lot of things about the city that are there to answer your questions. It happens tonight at the Moose Hall from 6 until 8. You can meet the staff, ask questions, and you know what, Danny? There's even a barbecue.
I was just going to say, who's going to turn down a barbecue? I wonder who's going to be working the grill.
My understanding is that City Manager John Cullen will.
Oh, there you go. He'll fire up the grill, cook some dogs.
I want to see what's on his apron. And I don't know. I don't know if he's a good cook. I guess we'd have to go to find out.
I'm sure
hopefully
he
he can. That happens tonight. Admission is free at the Moose Hall, but it's a great way to learn more about the city. If you have questions, especially leading into budget time and 1 year and 4 days away from the next election, you can even meet with the city clerk and find out how you too can put your name forward to be part of city council. That happens tonight from 6 to 8 at the Moose Hall.
All right, so next council meeting, looking at the calendar, would be the 29th?
Yeah.
All right.
Well,
no.
yeah. Yes, yes. And then, of course, there's standing committees in there too. But
that's right.
We'll keep you posted. The notice of motion, again, in case you missed it, failed last night. The temporary village goes forward at Hilliard.
All right, there it is, your City Council Roundup. Thank you, John, and we'll do it again. Another reminder, you can find this Roundup recap at yourthunderbay.ca.